Welcome back. This is Chapter 5th, The Hundred Dresses Part First, written by Al Bessar Esther. And now I'm going to explain page number 64 to you. So here we go. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat. But nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girls, who started older, noticed her absence. Okay, so here, Monday saw Wanda Petronsky missing her class, but nobody took any note of it, not even the two girls, Peggy and Madeline, who started playing jokes on her. Usually, Wanda sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13. Usually, she would be sitting at second last position in last row in room number 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet, most roars of laughter when something funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. So, that corner of the room was a favorite sitting area, which was generally meant for rough boys who never scored well. This was also the noisiest space of the class, where boys were noisy, dragging their feet on the ground, bursting into peals of laughter over something funny said in the class. This was also the place which was full of mud and dirt on the floor. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. So it was not that she was noisy, she was very noisy, she was rough that she took that seat. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. Instead, she was very quiet. And she was so quiet that she would hardly speak a word to anyone. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud, not even anybody in the class. Any of her classmates heard her laugh out loud, that is, heard her laughing aloud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. It was only that she sometimes would twist her mouth in a tricky kind of smile, and that was all that one could see about her smile. No one could ever think of any reason why she took up that seat. The only excuse that they could think of was the fact that she came from the Boggins Heights, a slum area with uncemented road, with muddy pools, and since she had to cross that muddy pool, and her feet would be full of mud, and later the feet would be caked with it, so she took up that seat. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky. Once she sat in the corner of the room, but no one really cared, really thought of her once she took up that place, that seat. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside the school hours, at noontime when they were coming back to school or in the morning early before school began, when groups of two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on the way to schoolyard. So the time when they were most interested in her was the time outside school hours, that is during the recess hour or early in the morning when they would be coming to school. Recess hour, because during that period they would be going back home, taking their lunch and returning back to school. So during that period and early in the morning when they would be coming to school, so during these two occasions or on those two occasions they would form groups of more than two, and they would be talking of her, they would be laughing at her, and they would be coming to school talking and laughing all the way into the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her, and sometimes they would be also waiting to have fun with her. The next day, Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either, and even the following day, that is on Tuesday, she was absent from school, and nobody noticed her absence again, and nobody paid any heed of this. Nobody took note of it. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in a whole lot of math, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie sat with good children who got good marks, who scored well, and who never had to wade through, who never had to track in a whole lot of mud. Those who never had to cross a muddy pool of water, so they sat with them. And they noticed, and on that day, they noticed that Wanda wasn't there. She was absent. Peggy was the most popular girl in school, and this girl, Peggy, was most popular in school. She was pretty, she had many pretty clothes, and her hair was curly. She was very popular. She was everyone's favorite. She was pretty looking, good looking. She had many clothes, many dresses, and also her hair was curly. Maddie was her closest friend, and Maddie was her closest friend, her best friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school, and the reason why they took note of her was the fact that they got late because of Wanda. They waited for Wanda today, and they found that she was not coming, and that's why they were late.